people who were made to choose between your pet or your partner. How did your ex react when you chose your pet? Not directly relevant, but we once took in a dog, whose human was asked to make this choice. Beautiful winner. The guy brought the dog out to our house, on a hill in the woods with acres to roam. Dogs absolutely love it out here, and we spent some time walking around letting the dog get used to the place and meet our other furry residents. We could tell it was really hard on both of them when he left. The next day he kicked the woman out, and came back for the dog. Happy ending all around, I'd say. This is my favorite story from when I worked in a shelter. A guy came in to surrender his cat, with the reason that his girlfriend didn't like her. He starts filling out the paperwork, but partway through he just stops and says, "Screw this, I'm just going to break up with her instead." He picks up the cat and walks out the door, presumably to leave his GF. I hope he stuck to it and he and his cat got a happy ending. She acted like she'd never even considered I'd choose the cat over her. I don't think that thought had ever entered her mind. Then she went into a big spiel about how I'm a loser, I'm missing out, there's only one of her, etc. etc. Yeah, I knew all that when I put my foot down over her idiotic jealousy of the cat liking me more than her. The cat is now 16 and still with me, happy in her senior years. There's been other women since her, ones that treated me a lot better than she did. It was a total win for both the cat and myself. Well, he got jealous anytime I'd even pet the dogs in front of him. He started treating them terribly. Eventually he told me, basically, that he knows I wouldn't get rid of them, but so long as they were around our relationship would be negatively impacted and would deteriorate. Then we broke up. Shrugs. Imagine feeling threatened and jealous of your son, of 14 years, petting a dog. They are well behaved, housebroken, no behavioral issues, no financial burden. And honestly they are low maintenance in the attention department too. That's when I noticed something was very off and went ahead and proved him right. I didn't get rid of my dogs, and I just started distancing myself. Not me but my sister chose our cat over her boyfriend of 4 months. He was furious when she dumped him and called her an idiot for picking a dirty flabag over him. Cat was not a dirty flabag. He just hated pets and wanted to try to control my sister. I was relieved when she dumped him. I never got good vibes from him. I remember him saying my diabetic cat needed to go so he could get the dog. We weren't even living together. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "My cat will outlive this relationship," considering she was really sick at the time. He said it was unlikely and stormed off. We broke up 6 years ago and my cat is still going strong. Not my story but my friend. His GF forced him to choose between her or a dog, but that dog was remaining memento from his deceased mother, and of course he instantly dumped his GF. His GF went from face full with expectations to beet red full of shame and anger and smashed his house windows when she left his house. I found out my girlfriend was hitting my dog when I wasn't around. I left her and she was unable to admit that was the reason. I guess answering the question of what happened to you guys, although he found out I was secretly hurting his dog, might make for awkward conversations. I had an incredibly toxic boyfriend who had at one point paid the fee for a rescue cat for me for my birthday. The cat really didn't like him. She wasn't aggressive, she was just skittish and didn't want to be around him. We had gotten into a fight earlier that day about something unrelated and he decided to start ranting about the cat and how he believed we should get rid of her, that she was a bad animal just because she was skittish. She was a rescue. And a very loving one at that, if you let her come to you when she felt safe. He started to threaten to leave her at the Humane Society or get rid of her when I wasn't around, so I couldn't stop him. I told him to get out of my house and immediately broke up with him. Butters is still making quality biscuits at my side and loves to take naps with me. Smile. Edit. Pairs Butters cat tax. She's in an orange hat. Smile. Edit 2. Butters seems very popular. Here is more of my girl. Here. Also, she's sitting on her sister Spooky in that one photo. Two friends of mine dated seriously years ago. Girl's cat had jealousy issues and peed on guy's shoes. Guy put cat in the bathtub and pissed on cat. Relationship didn't last much longer. Edit. I really should have mentioned that he was wearing the shoes when the cat did this. Not exactly what you asked for, but I knew a couple that had to break up because she was badly allergic to his elderly dog. They were both understanding of the situation and theirs was no animosity. They ended up getting back together after the dog had passed away and are now very happy. Edit. For those asking, there was about a 2-year period between their breakup and reunion. She tries allergy treatments and they didn't work. No. He couldn't just leave his dog home alone all night and just spend time at her place. Dog died of cancer/old age around 12 years old. Neither was upset at the other during the breakup. It's truly a no situation. I dated a guy who told me he would convince me to choose him over my cats. I broke up with him shortly after, mostly due to that. Was happily single. Then my now husband comes along and says, I've always wanted to be the husband of the crazy cat lady. Way to win a girl's heart. Was getting a divorce and the ex-wife demanded my dog or she'd take me to court over the house. I reluctantly gave him to her. She called me 5 days after taking possession of him. He was chewing everything of hers, peeing all over her and her new boyfriend's house. I got him back and he never did any of that for me. Still have him and he is 15 years old now. Not my partner, but my mom gave away my dog when I was away on a trip visiting my sister when I was 18. She called me while I was away to explain my dad was going to leave her if she didn't rehome him. Fast forward several years later. My mom gave her cat to my 7-year-old daughter only to later take the cat back after getting mad at me for something. 2 years later my daughter still cries over missing the cat. I went no contact with her immediately following that incident. The dog chose me. Lol. I divorced my husband and his dog destroyed his house and sadly wouldn't eat properly or do anything but stress until he came to live with me and my dog. But to be fair, my ex is terrible at pets. He just kept him outside all day and night with no interaction. The dog is a Great Dane and at the time it was me, my toddler and my dog in a little townhouse, but we gladly took in the big guy over keeping him alone and miserable with his actual owner. I have a 14-year-old calico that started as a family pet but bonded intensely with me. My husband was very sketched out by cats when we were dating. When things got serious and we talked about our future together, I told him point blank that she'd been in my life longer and there was no way I could leave her behind. He started coming over more to spend time with her. He would watch my cat from hell and read about cat behaviors, needs, and introducing them to new environments. We moved her into his apartment for about 6 months and then drove halfway across the country with her. She's now the queen of our NYC apartment and can't seem to choose which of us she likes better. Edit. Cat tax. Edit 2. Thank you for all the awards. I'm totally blown away. I didn't expect anyone to see this comment or react so strongly. I'm so glad our little family can brighten your day. Not me, but my sister was dating a guy who angrily accused her of loving her elderly cat more than him. She said she did. She had had him for 14 years and they had only been dating for about a month. Guess she wasn't expecting that because he just kind of shut up and left the house. true story. I'm paraphrasing. My friend let his girlfriend spend the night at his house. While he was making her breakfast, she began complaining about his nasty dog. My friend told her, "You should stop complaining. The dog lives here and you don't." They broke up a week later. Had an old friend who shows her ex's dog over the ex, and though there was no choosing in the one's not around anymore sense, my dog 1000% loves my husband more than he ever loved me. If I had not married my husband, pretty sure my dog would have given me an ultimatum. I found out that my ex had been talking to her mom about putting my dog down while I was at work and just telling me she ran away or something. Before that moment I never would have thought I could have violent feelings towards a woman, but now I know in my heart that there's a serious possibility I would have hurt her had she actually done it. On our first date, my now husband was talking a big game about how he doesn't like cats and cats don't like him. While we were hanging out in my apartment with my 2 cats, I said, "Well, they were here first, so don't even think you'll win that one." He wasn't asking me to choose, but I wanted to make damn sure he knew I wasn't going to deal with any sort of ultimatum. You can now catch him holding one of our 4 cats to the window and showing them interesting things outside or burying his face in belly fluff. Lightly related, I had to talk myself into adopting a cat 8 years ago, and I vehemently convinced him. Said he chose him the moment we got her. Latched onto him in the car and cuddles him every single day since. Kisses him to wake him up. Greets him at the door. She walks away when I enter the house and she sees it's not him. I'm lucky if she even meows at me. She's cuddled me maybe 10 times in 8 years. I begged this cat that I fought so hard to get for attention. She's one of our favorite parts about our relationship. ETA. Thank you, kind Redditor, for the award. Made my menses and I smiled to read how much some of you can relate. Smile. I know this is a complete 180 of the topic, but still thought it relevant for the post. About 5 years ago, my then girlfriend, now wife, was talking about bringing her dog back to her apartment from her ex's. We had only been dating for several months, but I knew this was for real and I did not want the responsibility of a dog. I had expressed as much to her. Not that I don't love animals, I just don't love them in an apartment. She had her stay with her ex because he had a large yard, but she had previously been attacked by his 2 pit bulls, pretty badly. Well, her ex called to say she had jumped the fence into the green belt and got rolled up by coyotes. It was definitely those 2 dogs again. When I walked into her apartment after she got her back, I almost started bawling. This poor girl had several dozen stitches, and about 5 tubes sticking out of her body to drain blood. Not sure, poor thing looked like a beat to shit hyena or something. It didn't matter, though. She ran and jumped right up on me, wagging her tail and licking me. I fell in love immediately, and now the only thing I don't want is for her to ever go away. I personally didn't want any animals when I met my girl. She had 3 dogs around 80 pounds each that live in her house. It really made me nervous about living together. I was never much of a domestic animal lover. I personally saw it as a waste of time and money. We've lived together for 3 years now. We have 5 dogs now, and they are the best part of my day. Never knew what I was missing out on. I had a friend who was dating this real asshole guy. One weekend her parents came to town with a puppy, let her play with it and love on it all weekend. At the end of the weekend they said, "You can keep this dog if you dump asshole." She didn't even think about it, dumped him immediately. Edit, thanks for the award. It's my first ever. I was seeing someone and in the beginning they would gush over the dog pics, but then they started getting mad because I wouldn't stay the night at their place. Have to let dogs out at bedtime and in the AM. They said they could handle one night without me, and if they were desperate they could go to the washroom in the house and I could clean it up later. That kind of attitude kind of disturbed me. so I noped the F out of that relationship before we'd even started getting remotely serious. I was in elementary school when my stepdad made a comment about getting rid of my cats. I told him that we had the cats longer than him, and I liked them better. He looked at my mom to defend him, and she told him she had told him not to talk about my cats. One passed away at the age of 14 when I was in college, and the other passed away at 19 after I had graduated. He was never cuddly with them but was always nice after that conversation. 20+ years later he has his own cat that adores him and hates my mom. Made to choose? That really happens? ? I've had my dog for 12 years, and I've known my wife for 4. For her to expect me to get rid of him would be insane. I've told my wife 100 times, if they were both hanging off a cliff and I could only save one of them ... I'd save her, but I'd take a second to think about it first. I have an elderly rat, going on 4 years, which is quite the feat for a rat. I've raised him since he was a baby with his brother, who passed away 2 winters ago. When we moved in with my in-laws over the summer, they didn't want me to bring my rat. I straight up told my partner that I'll live somewhere else for a while. We'd been living together for almost 3 years at that point. Because my rat is my responsibility, he's very old, and that I was going to see him through to the end. They were a little upset and accused me of choosing the rat over them, but I explained that he's an animal that relies on us. It worked out. I convinced my in-laws to let me bring him, and we're all still kickin'. He's on his last days and I'm glad I'm here with him. He'll be buried with his brother when it's time. My former best friend gave up her dog and her cat for her boyfriend of 6 months. He said that he was afraid of animals but was willing to get therapy to deal with his fear, and then after they got serious he straight up backtracked. This was one of many red flags, and said he could never live with them. Her animals were the most docile, sweet pets ever. I was living with her at the time so took care of them frequently, as she basically abandoned them to stay at his place from the week they met. She sent them to live with her dad in Texas so she could move in with him ASAP. Speaks to how desperate she was to have a boyfriend, but I felt so bad for the dog, especially as he really loved her. Couldn't look at her the same again after that. When my husband and I first started dating he was pretty jealous of my dog. I bottle-raised that pup. The mom rejected the litter. I could only take one, traveled across the country with him, had snuggled him almost his entire life. That dog is probably the closest I will be able to get to having a child. He goes literally everywhere with me. So when my now husband brought up the hypothetical situation in which I would have to choose between them, he was not happy when I said I would choose my dog. Hands down. I made it very clear to him, though, that a large part of that decision would come from his forcing me to choose. My doggo and I are a package deal. My fiancé and I were literally just talking about this. When I first moved in with him, he asked me if I had a problem with the cats because he knew I was very allergic and not a huge cat person. I said I'd bring my air purifier and my Zyrtec. As soon as I found a better job, I signed up for allergy shots. At the same time, we had friends who were also moving in together. She had cat allergies. He had 2 older cats. She made him rehome them, and while looking for someone to take them, she posted online, joking that she was going to drown them in a burlap bag. I read her post while my arms were red and swollen from my shots and it just made me so angry. BTW, my fiancé's cats had me wrapped around their paws within a year. They were both so sweet. They turned me into a cat person. They have sadly passed away, but we have 2 new kittens filling up the house again, and I am constantly fighting the urge to get a third. Never had to choose. but I remember how when I first met my boyfriend he thought that dating a girl with a dog would be a deal breaker for him. Fast forward over a year and a half and him and my dog are best friends, love playing together and cuddling. And he cares about him like I do. My best friend hated dogs until he met his current girlfriend. He used to complain that the dog is always there and is stealing attention from him, but he knew that she was an animal lover and that she will always adopt or foster animals, and he loves and respects that about her. He now also fosters animals. Lol. I think if you love someone and you get in their lives, you won't try to change their dynamic but instead try to find your place in theirs. A pet cannot be abandoned just because you want more attention. That's not how it works. Also, people that get jealous of pets cannot be mentally stable. Really, you're jealous that I pet my dog and cuddle with him in my house, please. Not a partner, but an ex-roommate and my current roommate just randomly decided to get 2 cats one day while I was at work, and then ex-roommate literally never put half a second of care below M. And I love cats more than other roommates, so they immediately became mine even though I never had a choice. I love them though.